everyone. Okay, thank you to all members of the public, councillors and officers who are joining us for today's meeting. Please be aware that the council is video recording this meeting and this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. I would just like to highlight some key points of the meeting format. Please can I ask everyone to have their phones turned off or set to silent. The fire exits are clearly marked, with the primary exit being through the main entrance, over there. The assembly point is on the forecourt of HSBC next to the Tesco Express Hall. Please remain seated unless you're invited to speak or need to take a comfort break. And I think we find the toilets like that. Members of the public are invited to participate in the meeting with the key points as follows. When the public participation session is introduced, please raise your hand to show you wish to speak, and I will invite you to speak. If you are comfortable standing, please do so to ensure you can be heard across the room, but you don't have to. Public participation is limited to a maximum of 4 minutes per person. You do not need to state your name when you start speaking. I would ask that participants looking to leave the meeting wait until the end of the agenda item to limit distractions for other participants. To all present, please remember to show respect to others in the meeting and avoid interrupting where possible to enable others to follow the meeting. If any councillor feels concerned about any aspect of the meeting or discussion, please clearly state point of order. I will then gesture for you to elaborate. If anyone present is felt to be behaving unacceptably, they can be ejected from the meeting by resolution. Thank you for listening. On behalf of the council, I would like to thank everyone for attending this town council meeting. The first item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. A few apologies this evening. Councillor Freddie Horrow has work commitments. Councillor Matthews is unfortunately unwell. Councillor Widstone has work commitments. So Councillor Rutland has personal commitments. Councillor Warren is unfortunately unwell. And Councillor Wearmouth has a family commitment. Thank you.
Agenda item 2 is disclosure of interest. To deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosure of pecuniary interest and interest other than pecuniary interest as defined under the Seaford Town Council Code of Conduct and Localism Act 2011 in relation to matters on the agenda. Do we have any disclosures of interest? Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is our public participation, and this is to deal with any questions or brief representations from members of the public in accordance with relevant legislation and Seaford Town Council policy. So do we have any participants? Please stand. Oh, yours.
Just wanted to give you some visuals.
We're normally here putting ideas forward to the councillors. Today we're here trying to save Skipper Water Sports. Skipper Water Sports started after I saw on the town website at Bonstead they were considering a water sport concession. I decided to meet up with Paddy, who'd been working as a water sport instructor for the last 7 years at Rockley, as I knew we'd be a good partnership, as we both have our water sports. As you can see in the paperwork, 2018 we had a marquee 6-ton water rib boat that we carried up and down the village. When the wind got past 15 knots, the marquee would take off and we'd have to hold on to it to stop it flying away. 2019 we got a van and an awning and used that to transport boards up and down, and we still had to tow stuff up and down the beach, so that was not efficient. 2020 we purchased a towable welfare unit and cladded it as a semi-permanent unit. This was great, but after a windy summer affecting the water sports, we knew we had to diverse and add another element to our business in order to survive. 2021 we managed to get permission from the council to put a 25-foot used shipping container down on the beach. We used this, saved up enough money to start conversion to a cafe. to run alongside our water sports. We launched a cafe which seemed like an impossible task of setting up a cafe with no electric supply, no wasteful water. We managed this by using 100% solar energy and carefully selecting low-powered units. We purchased a new 2024. We purchased a new boat as our old boat was becoming too old to meet the NCA regulations and coding practice to deliver water sports safely. Every winter we maintain the unit, boat, plan ideas ready for summer. We also study for our qualifications, which include commercially endorsed Power Level 2, inside qualified paddleboard instructors, health and safety qualifications, health and hygiene, first aid, sea survival and so on. We have had great support from the council, notably Sharon Wright and Tony Jackson and Bob Offord, who individually spent a lot of time preparing documents with us and guiding us through any issues that we've had. The councillors have often voted in our favour, supporting our water sports activities. Highlight this was Skipper Fest, which saw 250 local residents enjoying the seafront sensibly and safely, which I believe had 0 complaints. Again, that was the councillors' vote and support. When we were given the tender matrix form, there was no help or support. Part of this form was a business plan, which we did not fill out as we were already an existing business. We've helped many to get out on the water, the able, the disabled, the young and the old. We have trained locals to be able to use the water sports safely using their own equipment. We're another set of eyes on the beach, keeping residents safe, and have helped people numerous times who are struggling with water who are not part of our activity. With regards to sustainability, we're plastic free, we run 100% on solar energy, and we only use local projects, helping local businesses. We have put hours of hard work into this, and I believe we've given it our best. We are 100% self-funded. We have had no grants, no financial support from anyone else other than ourselves. I personally believe this would be devastating for us, the local community in Seaford Beach, if we're not allowed back this summer due to a matrix tender application form which we did not score high enough because of our poorly written application. Paddy and myself are both dyslexic and not academics. We are doers. For us, this is the last roll of the dice. We cannot afford our outgoings of running the business and storing our unit without generating any income. We hope that the last 6 years of work, reinvesting all the money back into the business, is not going to waste. Skipper Water Sports will ensure that the position of the container will be far enough to the left of the memorial flag, and will also consider to deliver the highest standards and have, as long as we can, 0 complaints. I hope that this council can see our story, support to locals, inspire innovation, and encourage entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have anything to speak?
Hello everyone, my name is Paddy and I'm a co-owner with Tony Morris at Seaford Water Sports. I've been a water sports instructor for over 10 years and I've always loved the challenge of getting through to people that are struggling with learning the sports in which I teach. Whether that be due to learning difficulties, behaviour difficulties, mobility issues, or just finding specific tasks or instruction difficult to complete or comprehend. I've specifically I've been relishing the opportunity over the last 6 years or so to be able to do this with people from all walks of life in my local town. And I feel an enormous sense of achievement and community doing so. Just being able to give nervous parents or even grandparents with visiting grandchildren the peace of mind that they are being well looked after, regardless of their abilities, makes it more than worthwhile for me. I'm sure everyone will agree that even just the presence of Skipper on the beach brings a whole other sense of character and adventure to our seaside town. Not to mention providing a well-needed form of exercise which is fantastic for health and well-being for the local community and travelling tourists. We have many plans for the next few years in terms of helping schools and other organisations get on the water, starting with making sure we are up to date with all of our qualifications, etc. Spending thousands of pounds on safety equipment and qualifications, not to mention being in talks with all sorts of organisations to make sure we are doing everything by the book. I feel it's important to yet again stress the fact that if we are not reinstated down the beach this year, I fear it may be the end for Seaford Water Sports, with all of the ongoing costs and things. It wouldn't take a lot for us to be providing this service again to Seaford, as we have the equipment and the staff ready and ready to go. I understand the trials and tribulations that must come with town council agendas and so on, but I feel from the feedback we've received from family, friends and total strangers who love skipper on the beach, that it would be doing the town a real disservice not to allow skipper water sports back down the beach, leading the way for a vibrant and exciting future for Seaford.
Do we have any other participants? Hello.
Hello everyone, my name is Max and I've worked for Toby and Paddy for the last 2 years. Very fun 2 years, I've learned a lot and I've learned a lot of lessons that will stick with me through my whole career and my whole life. I want to talk a little bit about the Skipper Shack and what it brings, what I've seen it's brought first hand to our community. Beyond the social benefits of the cafe, the water sports centre has provided a healthy, active lifestyle. It's given individuals and groups the opportunity to engage in exciting activities like our kayaking, paddleboarding, wakeboarding, kite surfing and many other activities that we provided. These sports provided an opportunity to try something new and offered an escape from daily stress to everyone around us and from all around the country. The Skip Shack brought a vibrant vibe to the section of the seafront that we inhabit, and everyone has always had a smile on their face, standing around the shack, walking away from the shack and just being in the area. The tours that we provided attracted visitors from not only all around our country but from others as well. I often worked through language barriers with people eager to try paddleboarding on open water, and I always saw them leave with a smile on their face and stories to share their friends and families back home. The Skip Shack was and should continue to be a cornerstone for our community of engagement, fun and a beacon for tourism for everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Well done. Participants, any further participants? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yes, you have.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Diamond. I'm here representing Trees for Seaford and speaking to agenda item 10. And you might also know me from Seaford Action for Nature and Gardening Action. Thank you very much for adding to what is, I'm sure, a very full agenda. The proposal is to plant between 15 and 20 trees in Crouch Gardens as part of the Urban Tree Challenge Fund. It will probably be nearer 15, but this is to give us some flexibility around the timing a bit. If you don't know us, Trees for Seaford has been going for about 16 years. We've planted over 700 trees in the town, and we're very proud of our good survival rate, which is above 90% compared to a national average of around 40%. This year we have an opportunity to partner with the Sussex County Council and their contractor Balfour Beatty, who've won a bid with the Urban Tree Challenge Fund to plant over 400 trees in the county, including 120 trees in Seaford this autumn and winter. The partnership working in Seaford will form a blueprint for the other towns in the project. The fund includes money to pay for the trees, but critically to pay for 3 years of watering by a contractor. We've had to consider several factors in choosing where to plant the 120 trees, wishes of residents, the suitability of the planting sites and the requirements of the bid. We've been asked over the years to plant more trees in Crouch Gardens, but the issues are who will water the trees and how can the trees be protected from vandalism. The Urban Tree Challenge Fund means that we can install protective cages around the trees and a contractor can be paid to water the trees for 3 years. Some additional watering might be required after the end of those 3 years. We appreciate that Crouch Gardens is used by many residents and many groups. The new trees would be predominantly in the northeast corner with some on the boundaries and would not take up any recreation space. We propose planting a mixture of smaller trees with wildlife value with some larger trees on the boundaries. The final planting locations and mix of species would be decided after further consultation with stakeholders, with residents whose houses back onto the places where the trees would go, and with consultation with one of the UK's leading arboricultural experts who generously advises and supports our group. We hope that the trees can be planted as part of a community event. I appreciate appreciate that you have a very full agenda this evening, and I'm happy to answer any detailed questions outside of the meeting if needed. We're asking for agreement in principle in order to meet the deadlines required for the bid. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any further questions for this evening's agenda items? Okay, thank you everyone. So item 4 on the agenda, petitions. Do you have any?
With no petitions, Chair, thank you.
Item 5, we have the previous minutes. So we have a table in front of us of previous minutes on 4 different committees. Okay. So we'll do as the town clerk suggests. We'll take the blocks together. So 5.1 full council. We're looking at the minutes for the meeting the 28th of March 2024 and the 29th of April 2024. And we need to have a proposer. And the second of the councillor woman, thank you very much. All three. That's 9. Thank you very much. The next one, 5.2, Climate Change Subcommittee for the 18th of April 2024. Do I have a proposer? Yes, Councillor Bristow, and second, Councillor Taylor, and all voting, not voting, all they will vote.
Is this in favour?
All in favour. 1, 2, 3.
That's everyone, Chair, thank you.
Yes, yes, we need to do against and abstain. So do we have against or abstains? Yes. Abstain.
I wasn't present that day.
Ah, right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and the next block is the community services minutes. 2 for the 7th of March 2024 and the 30th of May 2024. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Meek and a seconder, Councillor Taylor. All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Next one is planning and highways. We have 4 meetings: 4th of April 2024, 25th of April 2024, 16th of May 2024, and 6th of June 2024. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Gordon, do we have a seconder? Councillor Buchanan, all in favour? Okay, thank you very much. That's anybody against? Any abstentions? 2. Okay. Thank you everyone. We're now going to item 6, which is the Mayor's update report. So the purpose of the report is to present the Mayor's update report and details of engagements.
Just see if there's anything you want to say about that.
Okay. That's fine. So there's a list of the engagements for the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor since our inauguration on the 9th of May. We were actually jumped in and were quite busy the next day. So I don't know if it's impressive, but we definitely jumped off the diving board. But we've had a really interesting time, and I've also made a report for you all in Appendix A. And I think one of the things that I would just reflect on is that we've had some quite historical issues in the last month. So we've been to D-Day commemorations, we've also celebrated Sussex Day, though we had a problem with flagpole, but we still managed to hold the flag waving on the beach and sing Sussex by the Sea, and we're beautifully aided by Peter White, our town crier. And it seems to me that if we're looking also at celebrating 25 years as Seaford Town Council and thinking about the next 25 years, it's really interesting to also think about historical events and think about how those have shaped Seaford. So I've been looking into that and I'm continuing to do that. So you can wait to hear from me a bit more on that, but I think it's quite interesting to look at the history as well as how we're going to be planning the future. So that's kind of what I want to say really, but if anybody has any questions, you're always welcome to ask them. Councillor Richard
Just by the by, I noticed there's nothing there for the assistant. Is that because she's too busy or that she didn't do anything? Or in future?
Oh, before.
Did she do? Did I miss that?
Yeah. Seaford Business Awards Gala and Homeless Stockage 25 years celebration.
Okay, right, fantastic.
Yeah. And one of the reasons that she didn't attend anything else is because I was able to attend things.
Okay, that's fine. It's just so in future or whatever, if she does do it for you, then she may something herself. That's whatever. Depending. No.
Yeah, she could do.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just ask that when, obviously, as Mayor and Deputy Mayor are travelling to events, is actually quite sustainable rather than the huge amounts that we have seen that has been signed off to pay for, please? Sustainable travel.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that point. Okay. And we have one more comment.
It's just a question, Madam Mayor, but I just wanted to congratulate you. You seem to have hit the ground running. You've hardly been in state at all, but you seem to have got so much done already. So congratulations on that. And thank you for promoting poetry, which is great. And thank you for your updated letters, emails to us, which is really useful and gives us, great direction what you're doing. So thank you very much, and thanks for the wonderful term.
Any other? Yes, Councillor Taylor.
I just want to say very briefly that I like your choice of focus on community resilience. I think it's something that we need to be very much aware of in the current climate, and it's important to our town, it's important to individuals and to the wider community. So thank you. Good topic.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, observations or questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so do we have a proposer? Oh, I'm proposing. I am proposing. Lovely. Do we have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Olivia. Thank you very much. Okay, all in favour? Thank you. Okay, item 7. Purpose of the report is to receive the final internal audit report from Mulberry Co Limited for 2023 to 2024.
I just want to say a welcome to the meeting. It will be our RFO until March, and for this financial year we're considering until 31st of March. And obviously it's great also Lucy, who succeeded as RFO, is also meeting as well. 2 for the price of 1 tonight. And I'm very happy to hand over to Lucy to cover these items for you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so this report, this was the first report of 3 which all form part of the Council's AGAR, which is the Annual Governance and Accountability Return. This is the final council format that we are expected to complete at the year end, and we are asked to consider the 3 sections separately. We've got this one, which is regarding the internal audit. So on this report, you have the internal audit report that forms part of the AGAR, which is shown in Appendix 1, and then you have the internal auditor's own report, which is shown in Appendix 2. The only recommendation of the internal auditor's own report is that we should look at increasing the fidelity guarantee to 2 million, which as you would have read in my own report, this has been done. So if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Do we have any questions or queries? Yes, Councillor Bristol.
Thank you very much. Thank you for these reports, which are really informative. I was really pleased to see that we went for that Delta County and teaming. That was eminently sensible, if I may say so. One thing I'd like to put forward is regarding section 1.9, where it says that a report will be brought to the Council in March 2025 with options to appoint a new internal auditor for 2025 to 26. We obviously discussed this at a similar time at the end of this past financial year. We found that we were very much up against the cut-off date, and therefore I was going to suggest that we actually aim for maybe the January meeting so that we've got a little bit more time to implement that.
Would you like to respond to that? The reason why it's in March is because the actual final audit doesn't take place until May, so we would actually have probably until September to find a new auditor. So although it's like a 24-25 year, it's actually going to be carried out in the next year. And that's why I suggested March, so we have enough time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Yes, Councillor.
Hi. So on internal controls, the problem I've got is that I don't see any internal controls on financial regulations with respect to procurement tendering. And so I can't find anything on that one, either the auditor's report or your internal controls. Second point I want to raise. Sorry.
That's right, that's fine.
There's more space, okay.
Yeah.
Page 20, audit findings. When will the Seaford Town Council publish contracts as recommended by the Local Government Association? As Brighton, Eastbourne and Lewis do, seem to be the only local authority that is not publishing contracts, and I've asked this several times, and it seems to be a choice that Seaford have undertaken to do. When are you going to fall in line with the other council and abide by the, sorry, not abide, but implement the transparency code, please?
Thank you, Councillor. Do you want to get that all?
Well, shall I answer on that, the transparency code? So the other authorities you're talking about, Seaford, Lewis and Brighton, obviously are a different tier of local government to Seaford Town Council, which is the town and parish council sphere. The local government transparency code, there are two versions of it. There is one which is for councils where their turnover is under £25,000 per year, so small councils, and it's a statutory requirement to follow that. And the reason that's a statutory requirement is because those councils can exempt themselves from the external audit process that councils of this size go through. So there's no scrutiny on their figures at all, other than what they must publish on their website. For the councils that are higher figure than that, the local government transparency code is recommended best practice. So as an auditor, which is my main role, I would thoroughly endorse the council doing it, but it's not a statutory requirement to do so. I think the other one you asked about procurement controls within the financial regulations. Unless it's changed since I was here, there is a whole section within the finance regs about contracts and procurement. So there's a whole section within that, I think section 11 of the standard model you were using. So that lays out step by step the process that we go through for any contract or any tender process over a certain threshold. Forgive me, I forget the thresholds here, I've not worked here for a while. And the steps you need to go through, you have to go through the central government contract on the website. So those controls do exist. How often they're discussed in meetings, again, I think about it, but they are there.
Yes.
So, whilst I know that is a voluntary option to break the contract register, that's not my question. My question is, when is Seaford going to do it? And the other point is, you mentioned there's a whole section on contracts. If there is, why didn't we do it? Because there are contracts, including the Martello Cafe, the View, that weren't on contracts either. So they weren't procedures were not followed, and therefore they weren't picked up by order. It's not like you've got hundreds. So there's something not right.
Okay, so obviously I'm not in a position to speak to what the council does moving forward, because I don't work here, so that's for Adam and Lucy to consider some stage. As far as I was aware, I thought those contracts had been on the contract file.
To clarify, Chair, I mean, firstly, in terms of when we'll think about publishing more information, I know Lucy's looking at that, so we can make more information about that. You can certainly answer that. In terms of the contract funding point, without trying to get too caught up in language, but the contract funder is for tenders and not for concessions, and the ones you described are concessions, so they're not the type of procurement that goes on to contract funding. So that's why they weren't published through that route, or they were published through advertising widely, so they get response.
Does anyone, do you have anything extra to say? You're happy, okay. Do we have any other comments? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to say this. I think I'm well done and for a very good audit report. So that congratulations. But just one thing, just following on that, kind of struck me was following the question about Councillor Dubas. The financial regs have been updated by now in May. Our financial regs still match using the old. One of the reasons why I brought this up was that the May regs have actually gotten more predefined section and helps address some of the issues we had earlier about procurement. So maybe us looking at adopting our financial regs with the May version may well help councillors understand the differences between different procurement and tendering and board. Yeah, so that's just what I just mentioned that.
Through your Chair, thank you for that question. Yes, we are bringing those financial regs to council to consider particularly. So that is correct.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. Yes. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, do we have any other questions about this particular report? Okay, we move to propose. We have two recommendations here. Take one at a time. Yeah. So the first one is to receive the annual internal audit report, which is in Appendix 1. So do we have a proposer? Thank you, Councillor Edmund, seconder. Councillor Gorman. All in favour? So do we have any against? Any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you very much, everyone. And the second recommendation, to note the final report of the internal auditor, Appendix 2. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Gorman, seconder, Councillor Antonigi, all in favour? 3. Okay, and any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. So thank you very much. Thank you for your comments on that. So moving to item 8. So the purpose of the report for item 8 is to enable the Council to discuss and approve the annual governance statement for 2023 to 2024. Again, should we go through? Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is the second report in relation to the ADR, where the Council is asked to agree and approve the applications in section 1 and authorise the Chair and Town Clerk to sign this off. Appendix 2 helps reasons. Appendix 2 helps with the reasons of why section 1 has been agreed, which has also been recommended by the internal auditor who will be reviewed. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions at this point? No questions? Okay, so should we move to the recommendations? We can take them one at a time. So the first one is to agree that to the best of its knowledge. Yeah, that's fine. I think Jackson wanted to go and I said no, not the moment.
I was just saying, but on the next vote we can leave.
Yes,
the best of its knowledge and belief, it is compiled with all the assertions of the annual governance statement for the year ending 31st of March 2024. Do we have a proposer, please? Councillor, yes. I'm sorry, Councillor.
It was an excellent set of councillors.
Councillor Lord, yes, thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Councillor, thank you very much indeed. All in favour? Okay, or any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay, I'm moving to recommendation 2, to approve the annual governance statement for the year ending 31st of March 2024 appendix 1, and authorise the chair and town clerk to sign section 1 of the annual governance and accountability return AGAR on behalf of the town council. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Foreman, do we have a seconder? Councillor Bristow, all in favour? Yes, I'm getting it now, yes. Thank you very much. Do we have any against? Do we have any abstentions? Thank you very much. And I'm just about to do the signing. Most welcome to keep anyone interested.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're on to agenda item 9. Those report is to present the final accounts and annual governance and accountability return section 2 for the year ending 31st of March 2024 for approval and adoption. Again, going towards you, Steve. Thank you.
So this report relates to section 2 of the AGAR and presents the financial position of the council at the end of the last financial year. The council is asked to consider and approve these accounts and authorise the mayor as chair to sign section 2 of the AGAR. Once again, the council is in a great position with the general reserve sitting at £844,901, and this is an increase of £56,884 last year. So another great achievement is having looked back 5 years ago, the general fund was only £133,655. So we'll take the back round here to answer any questions.
Much better position, thank you very much. Do we have any comments or questions at this moment? Councillor Bristow?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that that's music to my ears that we're strengthening our position bit on bit each year. I know we have these discussions before and highlighting the fact that we just don't know what the world's going to throw at us these days. Things are quite volatile, so it's good to have good resilience around us to support our community being more resilient as well. So thank you for your work.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so again, I'm going to take the three recommendations. So sorry, any other? So sorry. Yes.
It's probably my full part. I thought I read somewhere that there was an explanation of the variance attached, but I couldn't. What page is that? I couldn't find it. I don't think.
Page 48.
48, okay, thank you so much. My fault.
Oh yes, at the top, page 48.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments at all? Okay, thank you very, very much for that. I'm going to take each recommendation in turn. So the first recommendation is to consider and approve section 2 of the annual governance and accountability return accounting statements 2023 to 2024 by resolution. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Bristow. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Atamiji. All in favour? In agreement? Okay. That's everyone. Unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. And for the seconder, to authorise the Mayor as Chair of the Town Council to sign section 2 of the annual governance and accountability return 2022 to 2024 on behalf of the Town Council, do we have a proposer? Councillor Antonici, do we have a seconder? Councillor Bristow, all in favour? Not quite everyone. Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? Okay. Thank you very much. And the third one, to note earmarked reserve movements in capital expenditure in the year. Proposer, Councillor Bristow, seconder, Councillor Borden. Thank you. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to sign. So this is agenda item 10. The purpose of the report is to represent a proposal from Trees for Seaford to farm 15 to 20 trees in Crouch Gardens.
And we're so grateful to you, Trees for attending this evening. You've already heard from Marjorie the really eloquent explanation of this report, and you've seen their input into this. It's great to have that partnership working with Trees for Seaford. Did any councillor wish to ask them any questions? If you'd like to indicate now, then what we'll do is we'll suspend standing orders so we can have a conversation with Trees for Seaford, and then we'll put standing orders back before you consider the motions. Does that all make sense to everybody? So, Chair, would you like to suspend standing orders?
So I would like to propose suspend standing orders. Can I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Councillor Lord, thank you very much. All in favour? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we're suspended.
We're suspended.
So back to you, Chair.
So if you'd like to take, yes, I'll take questions and also Councillor Richard. Yeah, probably because the noise of the traffic is actually.
Trees for Seaford, can I talk to us on that one as well?
Yeah, point that way. Yeah.
We're not talking to provide a chair. Types of trees, I can't really stop specific enough on that. I don't know, it varies sort of depending on what they get at the time. I don't know if that's one question. I know you're also doing quite a lot of seaford away from the Crouch as well, so it's a wider scheme because we've been involved. We've had a survey for this the trees business in where we live in Seaford as well. So even though a lot of what you said in the letter we got is similar to what's in this report, so it's quite in that sense it's quite similar. You also say that the residents might quite like trees over the privacy, but I don't know if you have actually sort of asked them, because in the end they may not want to put in trees because of a lack of light in the future, so I don't know how far your consultation goes. So there's two questions there. Types of trees and the neighbours as well. So within Crouch Gardens. But it's obviously a very quite a controversial site, you know, so on various levels. Those two questions.
Yeah, and just to sort of clarify, so we're looking at the other 120 trees, some in one of the primary schools and the others in residential streets. So we have been leafleting residents in the streets as part of our consultation process. So where we would be proposing to plant the trees, we would then leaflet those residents that backed on. So, for example, you can see that once upon a time there would have been trees all around the boundary. In some places those are missing, and so that's where we're proposing to put in 1 or 2 extra trees, but that's where we would leave the residents. In terms of the species, it's a fairly complicated process, so what we would be doing, we need to look at what trees we can buy. We would buy them from one approved nursery that we buy from regularly. We need to look at what trees are suitable for that environment, and then we need to look at there are certain requirements within the bid of what trees can be planted. And then also we have a general principle that we try and plant as wide a variety of different species like Dutch elm disease, ash dieback that hits particular species. So that's why at this stage I don't want to say it's going to be a this, that, and the other, because we have to go through that process and that will take a while to do. But in general, what we're thinking of is those sort of small wildlife-friendly trees. We also want to just check with the groundskeeper, for example, is there an issue if it's crab apples, for example, things like that.
Thank you so much for that very detailed explanation. Do we have another question? Do you want to come a bit closer? Oh, sorry.
Come a bit closer.
Yes, I do. Can we check? Feel free to do chair. No, it's it is trees, isn't it?
Trees.
Trees, okay. Not trees out in the tree. Okay. I got involved in the Freedom of Information Act last year, and it turns out planted 1,400 trees, of one form or another. I planted trees for the last 10, 15 years, and what I've found, you'll see no more than me, that planting individual trees don't like it. A tree is a sociable plant. It likes being planted with other trees. And a mixture of trees as well. We planted some trees individually on a massive park, and I think we planted about 50, 20 survived. But when we planted 30 together, they saw a different split, albeit soft ones by the way. They saw grew together and liked it. So rather than planting what we did, by the way, these trees planted together, put a small fence around it, like a 4-foot high fence, a deer fence, and it protects the trees from dogs and other such animals, and they succeeded. In individual trees, we found, particularly planting in public spaces, was subject to vandalism. And you can't cope for that. May I suggest that when you plant a tree, you plant the trees. So you plant more than one or two together. So you actually form a clump of trees in a geographical area. So you actually plant more than one tree together. May I also suggest one of the best things we've found is on the hedgerow of some form or other. English hedgerows like white thorn, black thorn, red thorn hedges, and they actually encourage small animals like voles and mice, etc., and encourage small birds as well. So let's not think of a tree, perhaps let's think of a whip for a hedge, and they actually can grow in conjunction with trees. It's just a suggestion, because everything, planted a tree over 2 years later, it's died because it's not been watered. One in 5 can't. We knew it's there, but the tractor couldn't get there, couldn't water it. So I'm just suggesting, when you think about it, that instead of just planting one tree here and there, we plant perhaps a small coppice with a hedgerow near or thereabout. So as you form a small valley, a tree on its own doesn't achieve anything, apart from shade and dog doing its do-die, and subject to vandalism. It's just a suggestion. And I come across it right across where I work. The particular town council said, we'll plant 2 trees over there, 1 tree there. For example, in the nerve such and such a sound. We want to plant a tree for God bless the Queen's millennium park. I said, no, we'll plant 3 trees. The reason being, 2 of them died and 1 survived. We planted 1 tree. They've had no tree for a Majesty Queen. So it's just suggested that individual trees seriously struggle on the road. They really do struggle on the road. We've got a little tree nearby here. It can actually, wildlife thrive off 2 and 3 trees, because very unusually, apart from trees which have been planted by now, we find individual trees. So, go on.
All I can say is that, thank you for your interest and your enthusiasm. I will point you to our record. So we setting that is always possible, and within the context of a funded bid, we have to work within the requirements of the funded bid. We believe this is a good project.
Not just basic ones, I'm just saying perhaps you have a mixture, perhaps put some hedgerow in it as well. Because the hedgerow protects the trees. Also, how much is the width? About 250, 3 quid or something. You get a lot of them, that's nothing. I'm just saying, for example.
If you would like to come along and do it, then
Well, I've just done 1,500, so I know. Okay. So it's just a suggestion, that's all I'm saying. Just a suggestion. Trees are social.
Well done, Councillor Dole. Thank you for your point. Councillor Bristow.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Marjorie from Trees for Seaford for this proposal. You'll know that I'm one of the ward councillors for Seaford South, which takes in the Crouch, and many of you will know that I'm very close to the Crouch Gardens, being there often twice a day at least, and know the place quite intimately for my sins. I'd broadly welcome this very much. I think it'd be great to have some more trees. I think it aligns very well with our new climate change policy, which goes live in about 10 days. so that's really good. However, there are a few details. I'm really glad to have this opportunity to ask some questions and to put forward a couple of suggestions. I think the number of trees, having walked around with this in mind and considering it, is probably about right. The survival rate is pretty good for trees for Seaford in general. I would personally, sort of having walked around, think something around a dozen or 15 that would stay is probably going to be good, considering what's there already. That northeast corner obviously has a few smallish trees at the moment. I know it had more, some have gone, most have survived. Regarding, okay, so I'll go to a general principle. We've heard about sort of planting trees together.
Sure,
I don't really mind, but one thing I would say, and that we've researched with other issues in mind, is that all our public parks, we need to start thinking more and more about public safety. And we've had calls in I think it was community services and other meetings for actually putting forward a management strategy for our open spaces at Seaford Town Council. And one of the things which I'd really like to run through that is the police guidance for designing out crime and thinking about sight lines, keeping places open for crime. That doesn't preclude trees being there, but things like making sure that the canopy height is sort of adequate, that we're not creating thickets and hedges where people can hide behind and spring out on people and that sort of thing. It's a real thing, especially at the Crouch. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is the report talks about burying trees for wildlife, which is great, but we also need to consider that it's a place which is highly frequented by dogs and dog walkers, so if we can get some species which are non-toxic, that would be good. That was an issue that we had over in Seaford West recently. And the third thing I was going to mention is that I have had inquiries about trees at the Crouch for memorials, a bit like how we have memorial benches, so memorial trees, and I believe that some of these inquiries have gone to officers as well. And it's a bit tricky with space and so on, so I'm wondering whether, as we move forward with this, whether there might be any opportunity to bring those two things together, if appropriate, and perhaps, I would say kill two birds with one stone, so not killing birds, but if there are any trees that might be suitable to use as a memorial as well, to try and bring them together. You might be aware, Marjorie, that we've had quite a lot of damage to some, I don't know if you call them trees or shrubs, but they're rather large shrubs if they are shrubs. We're next to, along the boundary by the Macreed Centre, as you go towards the cornfield, Twitter. Now the offcuts of those, I'm not going to go into the details, but as far as I'm aware, they're still in situ. And they've been quite those trees. But hopefully that's something we could look at going forward as to, you know, whether they're likely to survive or not, or whether that might be an area that needs some more urgent attention than we perhaps might have thought. So I really welcome this. What I'd like to do is propose an amendment to recommendation 2, as we do quite a lot of proposals, to say that agreements, trees for Seaford, and I'd quite like the ward councillors to be involved, as we have been with other councillors things in other wards, so that we really get that life cycle of engagement and consultation coming back, and then putting something forward which can balance everyone's needs. So that would be my proposal for amendment.
Can you say what your amendment is again?
So to approve the planting under supervision with final numbers and locations subject to further investigation, further engagement and consultation, and in agreement with ward councillors, and it could be, you know, whether it's the head of assets, projects and services, or
And full councillors, should it?
Sorry?
Should be all councillors.
Well, it could be, but then we don't normally always do that for things.
Should be. So democratic.
I think that might be a bit overkill, to be honest.
We're in a democratic environment.
We don't all need to decide on absolutely everything.
And
we don't normally with committees and subcommittees, or we can say the chair of community services and vice chair of community services, or climate change or whatever. But what I'm looking for is a collaborative agreement between Trees for Seaford, who've obviously got the experience and the thing, and council representatives for the people in town.
Okay, thank you very much. Marjorie, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, just to reply briefly.
Just to reply to some of the issues, yes, thank you.
We very much welcome guidance on things like security, antisocial behaviour, whether that's with the council officers. Yes, we very much welcome that. In terms of the numbers of trees, because of the bit I have to choose a number, it has to be 10 or more. So, although that can change, it's a process to go through. So, you could say between 10 and 20, if you like, here, and then, well, I need within the next couple of weeks to tell them how we're going to get there. In terms of the consultation with councillors, yes, but with the proviso that we're all volunteers, and this is 10 to 15 trees of 120 trees, and I have limited time to spend on this. It's quite a big, complex project. We might not get this opportunity again, particularly in terms of the watering. So yes, there might be vandalism problems and things like that, but you know, we think it's worth a go, and sometimes by making an area look well cared for, you help prevent antisocial behaviour. So yeah, with those provisos, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Roger, for responding to those two. Do we have, right, Councillor Duval. Yeah, and then.
Thank you. So there's no proposed map of proposed type of tree. Is that going to be on the leaflet and going to be sending out to people so you can be specific about consulting things?
So there isn't a map because we haven't gone through the whole process yet, because it's happened very quickly, and we have deadlines to work to. With the residents, what we would be suggesting is, for example, if there's a tree boundary that might shade their garden or protect their garden, then we would indicate in some way as to where the tree was, so they can understand. But there will be, as the plans progress, there will be maps. So, you know, in terms of consultation with stakeholders or some representative councillors, yes, of course we would have a map. We would need to do that anyway.
It's not just about residents on the boundary, but it's about users of the space that need to be consulted, rather than leaflet drop around the boundary.
if I can respond, to be honest, if it's too difficult, we would plant the trees elsewhere in the town because we just don't have the capacity for that. The volunteers, so it's kind of this, or we say, well, we still want to plant 120 trees, but this is too difficult and we just can't do it. We don't have the capacity.
Thank you. Thanks for your response. We have quite a few other questions. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Chair. This isn't a question. This is just to endorse what Marjorie is saying. I think members should be aware that, as Marjorie just said, you can't dictate to when ESCC decide they're going to give you an offer. So they've suddenly given this offer with a whole lot of infrastructure behind it, like watering for 3 years, which is something which is unheard of, and we have to organise. Normally, Marjorie is amazing with her team, it's fantastic, but organising, speaking to local residents, and making sure that someone's going to water the trees. In this instance, somebody else will water the trees for us. This is an offer to Crouch Gardens. As you just heard, we either take it now, and the other thing is, it's an in-principle offer. This is anything between 10 and 20 trees. We don't have to have 20. We can say, well, actually, we've only got room for 11 because various residents would not like too many. So this is slightly, we don't have to make it, this isn't a decision now, it's a decision in principle to say, yes, we would welcome some trees, probably more than 10, but it would only have to be 11 or 12 if necessary. So that, in principle, we've accepted the idea and we've staked our claim to having some trees on the Crouch. The final details, the species, where they go exactly, will be worked out later. And as Margaret said, some of these are replacing trees that have died or been vandalised or whatever. So I think we'd be very foolish, if I may say so, as members of this council, to not at least say yes to the offer. If it happened that it couldn't work out, those trees could still then be planted somewhere else, but just for the initial idea, Marjorie needs to be able to say, yes, some of them are going to go there. I'm sure that the powers that be in the ESCC would say, oh, well, if it didn't work out, we can put them somewhere else. But we're trying to get 120 trees for Seaford in principle. I think that's the important thing to say. Well, it's not cast in stone. There won't be one there. People's noses will put out the door. Thank you.
Thank you. I really welcome the project. I think it's very exciting. I sympathise with the feeling that it's too much. I often have that feeling. I think that's something, and I'm sure you'll fight your way through that. I hope you will, given, I think, what you've been saying. What I would just ask you to maybe highlight a bit more in terms of the trees is the whole question of shade. It does appear in this paper, this one up here, but I think about once, and I think given climate change and not been the case recently, I know, in this country, but I think we are expecting to have to consider more carefully the whole question of shade, both for older people, but also for children. So just in terms of the purchase of the trees. And the last point is that as a Bishopstone resident, we've had many discussions about trees. They are very contentious. It is difficult to get agreement. It is a contentious subject, trees. But worth fighting through.
Thank you, Chair. It's not very often I fully 100% agree with Councillor Mead, but today I do on this individual item. What I'd like to say to Councillor Bristow is, if you've got concerns, speak to the council outside representative for Trees for Seaford, who I'm sure will fully feed into the group any concerns you have for them. One question, Marjorie, I'd like to ask you is not just on this project, but on all trees that you're planning on putting in Seaford in the future, is are any of these going to be fruit trees that the residents can pick and use the produce themselves in time once they start producing, rather than just trees. So I welcome the ones for wildlife, but what about residents actually being able to have the produce and produce things from it in the future as well?
So we have planted and have plans to plant fruit trees. Because of the nature of fruit trees, they need to be properly looked after. So we plant fruit trees when we are doing it in partnership with a community group or a school. But yes, we planted fruit trees, we have plans to plant more, and some of those are community, accessible by the community.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Bristow.
Thanks. It's really good to hear from other councillors the points, and just picking up on Councillor Mee, and particularly the point about this being an agreement in principle. So very much appreciate all the volunteer hours that Trees and Seaford put into the fantastic things you're doing. It's really good, and I'm sure you, as I, want to see things go forward smoothly and without a hitch. We're also volunteers as councillors here. I don't want my email inbox filled up. I don't want to be stopped every single day around the crouch with worries, concerns, complaints about what's going on. That's why I'm really keen to bring things up at the beginning, soonest, to get them ironed out. So what's missing for me here is that coming back, whether it's to ward councillors, whether it's to community services, however it comes back. What we haven't got in the recommendations is, yes, we can give it an agreement in principle today, which allows you to carry on into the stage of the bid. It's that in any engagement consultation programme process, you want to be coming back to the decision makers, to people, to actually say, yes, we're in agreement with the finer details, let's all move forward together. To me, that's what's missing here, and it's not clear from point 2 where that would happen. So whether that's coming back to ward councillors, whether it's going to community services with the actual proposals and things, we're all volunteers, we all want to get this right. So can we please do that?
We'll pick up those points once we put standing orders back. Because they're really procedural for the council rather than this part of the discussion, which is about take the opportunity to clarify any points. And I'm very grateful for patiently answering all of those questions. Thank you so much. And you're nearly done, but I think someone else still got their hand up. Sorry. The chair invited me to speak, but please carry on.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because obviously I do plant buying, tree buying, and I know I was supposed to order them in May, but I'm too busy. When do you need to put your order in? Because I know this is about the time you can start ordering trees, so I wondered what your deadline was to get the trees ordered by.
So the plan is to get, I've already spoken to the nursery, and so what we will do, and this is why it is very difficult to give the level of detail that perhaps some councils might want, because what we have to do is say, okay, we do this every year, we're planting 50 trees, we're planting 70 trees, we're planting 120 trees, we think it's probably going to be this species mix. And then these are the trees that we've got. Sometimes we can change the order, as you know, but sometimes we can't. So then we have to have some flexibility to say, okay, that tree's going there, this tree's going there. It's a huge logistical project, this. So I would hope to get the order in, the provisional order in during the summer, and then that would be sort of pinned down, and the trees would come end of November, beginning of December.
That's fine, yeah, I just wondered, because from my point of view, when I had to do the buying, I've had to just let the tree people just go with it, because I didn't have time. But I know that the tree year runs from sort of July to the following spring. That's the way the tree year buying, when it's containerised is, which is why I wanted to know when you needed to get your ordering done. I mean, I was happy for the trees to be planted in the crouch, but obviously there are concerns about, what are the concerns about? I wondered exactly where it says boundary in 5.4, it says where exactly was it meant, and it also said large trees. So is that going to be bigger than, say, the ones in 12, 15 litre containers, or what size was it meant by large trees?
So these would be berried trees.
Yeah.
So if the trees on the boundary of the crouch are predominantly sycamores.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't plant sycamores, but we we would maybe, it's an opportunity to plant a larger tree, which obviously has more wildlife animal carbon.
So you mean larger gets to size
Yes,
rather than larger
yes,
stuff?
yes,
I was thinking, oh, you're going to need to get, you're going to need to get different than anything else. Because it said larger, my brain was going up when you see them in the big nurseries, these 20 to 200 litre size pot, so you just get a larger specimen. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. Well done. Well done for fielding. Okay, do we have any other questions, Marjorie, at all? Thank you so much. Okay, so we're now going to propose to reinstate that. Thank you very much. And seconding, thank you very much, Councillor Meek, or whoever. Lovely. And all in favour? Yes.
Just to pick up on Councillor's report, I completely take that point, absolutely. When this report was being prepared, I think what your thinking was that how does the council best play an enabling role for this to happen while being the landowner? And the report was very much written from the perspective of really working with the expertise of Trees for Seaford in these matters, and therefore really seeking landowner permission from the council for the activities to go forward, but really to then sort of give Trees for Seaford the mandate to determine some of the matters you've been talking about tonight. If councils feel they would like to keep some of that mandate, then they might wish to amend number 2. But that was why number 2 written in the way that it is. Obviously, councils are free to go with that approach or take a different approach should they wish. That's what I'm to clarify.
Thank you very much. Okay, do you have any other comments? Councillor
So, yeah, thank you for that bit of illumination there, the town hall, previously town hall. So, for example, with the compostable toilets that were coming to the Crouch, so the resolution was to work with the head of Ethics Project Services, PFT, and ward councillors to determine the final location for those, because various factors need to be taken into account. And residents have been consulted and indeed are feeding into that process. It's fantastic that we've got the wonderful expertise of Trees for Seaford. But we need to match that with the other side, the users, the residents, the community groups, which it says here you've already been starting to consult, which is great. If the timescales allow, it would be great to bring this to one of the Crouch stakeholders group meetings. That may or may not, I can't remember if it's September or October, but in any case, to work out some of these finer details, I do think we need to come together again so that the consultation process is worth its salt. So yes, we can put the trees in, but let's decide together on some of the finer points. The Crouch is quite full as it is, and there are a lot of competing interests and things, and I think we really need to get this right, so let's get it right together.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bristow. Does anyone else want any comment at this stage? Okay, so
sorry, no, we're just checking back to the motion at this stage.
Okay.
To make sure we're consistency in practice. I'm so sorry, Chair.
Do you want to?
That was momentarily distracted.
Do you want to?
Multitasking is not my strength, I'm afraid.
Do you want to?
Yes, it's just to be determined by officers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an amendment.
So the resolution afterwards will the actual motion is passed determined by officers in this particular case. I mean, I guess in terms of the amendment, as I say, there's different ways of doing this. My sense of the usual custom and practice of the council up until now has usually been with councillors are involved, that it's usually the relevant committee chairs that are delegated to, because then they can act in their chair's role in terms of working with wider councillors. So that's what I think. Would you say that's fair? That's been my experience of the normal custom practice. We don't have to stick to that. But as I say, that's been the custom and practice with the town council. In this case, given the topic, the chairs of community services and maybe climate change subcommittee might be the ones to think about for this item. And then maybe we'll put the HAPs alongside, so there's an officer there alongside those councillors as well. So my suggestion, if you want to go with that amendment, would be for those two councillors plus the HAPs as the amended. And literally stick that on. You can stick that on the end of the current motion, if that makes sense. In other words, so further consultation Climate Change Subcommittee and the head of Assets, Projects and Services.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Question?
Thank you. I just want to ask, why do we have an outside representative for Trees for Seaford if suddenly this is coming back? Why can't the representative actually just feed back to councillors
And they don't make decisions, like the OBRs don't make decisions on things.
Yeah, but we're only landowners, and it's like, do we want these trees planting, or don't we want these trees planting? Actually, we have the expertise with Trees for Seaford to farm
and everything I've said is sorry.
And the feedback can come back through the outside representative, and it doesn't need to come back to group councillors.
Then I come back on that because as a ward councillor, I know that things can get very contentious at the crash, which is why I'm trying to intervene soon and early so that we work together to get this right, get the consultation right. If you want to do that, fine, but I'm not going to spend 20 hours a week when the trees are going in dealing with the fallout, frankly.
Okay.
So please, this is what I'm saying.
I mean, Chair, sorry, Chair, just to say that, I mean, essentially we're in a position where we have three motions that stand.
Yeah.
Councillor still wants to propose an amendment, which would need to be seconded if it's going to be considered. And then in terms of process, my understanding is we can consider the amendment and still pass the original motion if we don't agree with the amendment. That's correct, isn't it? So we vote on the amendment first, and if that is passed, it carries. But if the amendment does not carry, we would then consider the original motion. So that's how councillors tonight can now decide that so that without a proposed motion, if that's seconded, we would then vote on that. But if it's not passed, we would return to an motion. So the councillors who want to stick to this, that's how they need to vote to stick to it. So that gives you your two choices. Thank you, councillor.
No, can we just go through number 1, 2 and 3, because that's number 2. So sorry. I'll read them out, don't worry. Okay.
So yes, so we've had a second on number 2 amendment, so we'll continue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Any further comments at all, or should we move to proposing the recommendations? Okay. So the first recommendation is to consider the proposal submitted by Trees for Seaford, the Town Council, to give permission for experts to deliver the tree planting project on site. This is recommendation 1. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Meek, thank you, and seconded Councillor Bourne. All in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, recommendation 2. We have to approve the planting of between 15 to 20 trees in Crouch Gardens under the supervision of Trees for Seaford, with final numbers and locations subject to further investigation, and Trees for Seaford undertaking further engagement and consultation in agreement with the Chair of Community Services and Climate Subcommittee, the Chairs of Community Services Committee and Climate Subcommittee, and also the head of the Assets Projects team. So, do we have a proposer?
That's been.
No, with the clarity on it. It's not coming back to this council again, is it? No, good.
Yeah.
Otherwise it might as well.
So that's the clarity is the motion is described.
So we have okay, so all in favour of that amendment for 2? 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10. So
and any against? Okay, any abstentions? No, okay. Thank you.
So that's carried, Chair.
So that's carried. And then the third, so number 3, to note the Town Council's ownership of these trees and the consequences. So do we have a...
Do we know what consequences are?
Then it's as described within the report. I'm saying about the fact that although we have this fantastic support package that you even described yourself so eloquently, which is amazing because of course it's really important, as Margie was explaining, that there's nothing worse than, as the Council Law also explained, there's nothing worse than these well-intentioned projects that just plant over trees and don't survive. And it's great that I'm working with you guys to make sure that doesn't happen in this case. Because that means we're hoping it will survive, and then at some point they're going to back to us.
Right, okay. Okay, so do we have a proposer for recommendation 3. Thank you, Councillor Olivia Henry. Do we have a seconder? 4. We do, Councillor Simpson. Thank you very much indeed. All in favour? All in favour, excuse me. Thank you very much. Okay, any against? Any exceptions? So we can have that through. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience, for your amazing responses. Well done. Okay, so councillors, just to really say this moment, can we not have private conversations or uttering nothing is going on then? I've tried so hard to get through the agenda tonight, if you don't mind, and I know it's going to be nice, but I have 2 able-bodied human beings next to me who will give me nudges, and that needs to
How much little breaks you do being there?
Yeah.
Make my mic do.
I know. Right, okay, we're going to move now to the next proposal, which is the item 11, which is to request that the Town Council forms a task and finish group to draft an internal communications procedure. What would you like to? Are you good?
I'm very happy to briefly introduce the court. In her absence, I can thank the Assistant Town Clerk for putting this together and also thank the Mayor for proactively taking this forward. And as you can see, this is being proactively taken forward. This is very much part of a really, really important process that we're all involved with, which is about making communications work as well as possible, process work as well as possible, and also all work together in the best ways possible. So this is really, really important stuff. And Council will be also aware of the steps already taken towards that, through, for example, the civility and respect protocol that was adopted at the previous full council, and there'll be other measures following this one. But this is really, really vitally important. But Chair, through you, Chair, I'm very happy to hand back to the group if they have any questions or if there's any further points you wish to make as Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. I'd like to just raise a point or two before I open it to the floor. There is a point here of creating a task and finish group with up to 5 councillors, which would also include myself and Isabel Miller. And part of the development of the group is that it's quite a tight task and finish group, as 3.3 says, to work between this from tomorrow, 21st of June, until the 12th of July. And there is in the background dates that have been sent round already to councillors to consider whether they wanted to join that task and finish group. The first one will be after planning and highways on the 27th of June at 7:30 p.m. in the council offices, and the second meeting will be on the 8th of July on Teams. So that won't be hybrid, it will be just on Teams. But the 27th of June will also be a hybrid meeting. We do need to think about who would like to be part of that group. We did think that chairs might want to volunteer themselves, but they don't have to. But to have different takes on how communication works within different subjects is actually quite useful, as some committees are actually much busier, if you like, and take on a lot more in terms of communication than others. So just navigating our way through that to have different people's perspectives will be really, really helpful. So I do hope you just consider your commitments to that, really. That's all I've got to say, but I'm happy for us to both take questions.
Yes, so Chair, I think what the Chair said, if you'd like to ask questions or comments from the floor, if anyone would like to volunteer to one of the 5 counts as well as speaking, we'd be very happy to hear that.
I'll go on with it as a light planning this time. I'll have a hang around and be on that one there for this time.
So Councillor Bishop Hanneman is saying that from the group. Thank you.
Councillor Olivia Hanneman.
I just wanted to get 1.1. It says, obviously everyone's really picked this up. You can invite them to insure rather than unsure. I just need to get that changed. Yeah, just wanted to
Thank you for that,
Councillor. I just wanted to, I'm happy to go on to that.
Councillor Bristow.
Yeah, can I just ask for a bit of
communications. Can we just set out the relationship between procedure, strategy, process and policy, and just make sure that we're all really clear on how these things fit together and what our ultimate aim is in bringing those together? Are we putting together these building blocks which will then form a policy? Usually we do it the other way around, with policy first and then from that determine our strategy. So I'd just like an explanation on that one.
Yeah, happy to clarify. I can completely take it, although if you look at the list of documents that Council has to follow that are on our listed on our website, most of them are policies, but we do have procedures and we also have risk assessments. So they're not exclusively. We also have freedom of information procedure law. So there are some procedure examples. The report may be maybe a bit more detail about, this is part of a whole package of work, if you like. But I think that what the Mayor was really clear about in terms of how the ATC has been bringing forward is what we all need is a procedure. So to tell us how, to steps we follow for our communication. So that's why this is being a procedure. It can then, once it's been, and that will be agreed by Council as a procedure. I mean, I completely get the point that effectively we're kind of agreeing a policy as a procedure there, but I think it's fine in this case, and there are some other examples of that. But then obviously we agree the whole communication strategy, more things might get wrapped up within it. That helps to clarify.
Yeah, it does.
If you want me to respond as well, in my discussions with Isabel, I brought this to the fore to actually be undertaken fairly rapidly, because we do have concerns about internal communication, both between officers and councillors and officers, and it is causing quite a lot of upset as well, and that's because it's just unclear, and it's not there, it's not written down anywhere. The communications policy, as a policy, as part of the policy group, Isabel's been looking at for quite some time and would like to take that forward anyway as a wraparound document. But that will include things like social media, the website, our raison d'etre, there'll be a vision at the front of it, etc., etc. But that will take quite some months. We thought the best way to go forward was probably to start dividing it up and to take parts of it that can be, they're not standalone, they will be linked, but they are, in terms of procedure, actually could be brought to Council for approval for the next 6 months. So we're getting them through, and we're not also then ending up with a massive communication policy, with only a few days to read it and then to have a massive discussion about it, and we haven't really been engaged. We felt this process, innovative as it is and slightly different, would give councillors the opportunity to get engaged with areas they're also quite interested in. So I know we've got councillors who are quite interested in web development, and others that might be interested in social media and how one communicates. And there are many other strands. So, but the first one, and there's also, of course, just in general, our residents and how we communicate. So I think this first procedure will end up being one of the early chapters of the policy. But we felt we needed to have something that all of you were involved with at some level. And the turnaround is fast, but there's also a feeling that once the 8th of July meeting has kind of wrapped up the content, it will go out to all councillors to check, to look at, before it then goes to full council, to give you time to comment on it. So actually by the time it comes to full council on July 25th, you're pretty much aware of it, and if you have any further comments, then that's fantastic, but you'll be very much owning it, I hope. And I feel this is a good way forward, actually, for actually developing policies, that we have this opportunity for engagement, and also using the skills that we have to remove. So that's kind of where we are with it. I have to say, we've already started using the task and finish idea with the complaints policy. We had a really successful Teams meeting with that and moved forward, made quite a lot of headway in one meeting in moving that forward, as councillors volunteered to sit on that. So it seems to be quite a good model at the moment. It didn't fall down at that point, so I'm hoping that we can take it forward and use this idea, at least for this part of the policy, and we'll see where we get to. But also, the other thing is, if you don't end up on the group, but you have strong feelings about internal ideas or things that you think is about internal communication, email them to me. So I'm making a list. I've already got a long list. I feel like I've got a little list. And we're feeding them back into these two team meetings to make sure that it comes procedure. So that's where we are at the moment. Are there any other particular? I don't feel like I want to defend it particularly. It's just something we're doing. So but you're more than welcome to join us. Though we are tight on time.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Just to say, we also had Councillor Ruth Sturton who wanted to say, positive indicate she can have to join this group as well.
So
She's also Chair of the GP, so this is an eminently sensible addition to the group. So it looks like, Chair, I'm proceeding with Councillor Richard and Ruth Sturton as the membership.
Have we got anyone else?
So we have
lovely, Councillor Paul.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We've got one more place. No. No,
it's dishes, it's my process.
Yeah. Would you like to?
No, I just want to mention that quite a few councillors who aren't here who might be interested
in
doing
so we'll
that.
send that email. If we can
Councillor Anigi not said to go for his family or something, but he might be interested. He might be able to give him an opportunity.
Well, what we can do is we can send the email out tomorrow now we've got to say that one more place. So thank you for that, Councillor. Okay. Yes. Okay, so without further ado, if there are no more comments, then let's just look at the recommendation to create a task and finish group of up to 5 councillors, the mayor and the assistant clerk, to draft and present to the 25th of July full council meeting and internal communications procedure. So do we have a proposer, Councillor Meek, and the seconder, thank you, Councillor Gorman. All in favour? All in favour? That's everyone. Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Okay, so at this point, I'm now going to move to...
Sorry, Chair, to interrupt you.
Yes.
Do you want to have a final break?
And then it's the question.
We'll get a final break, we'll come back next week. Don't break, sorry, that's my mistake. Tonight. Just the motion.
Okay, thank you everyone. So we're now moving to item 12, which is exclusion of the press and the public. The Chair will move that in accordance with the public body's permission to meet 1960, the press and public be excluded from the meeting during the discussion on the next item of business for the reasons that have been set out. I'm proposing this. Do I have a seconder? Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Honeyman. All in favour? Lovely. Thank you very much.